My plans to make millions through profession swapping. Hi there, I'm Golden Routes, and today we'll be taking a look at my plans to profession swap and make millions at the same time. So some of you are probably wondering how this is even possible, but for the most part, you should be able to profession swap this expansion fairly easily. The reason why is because even though you do lose all of your skill points, you don't lose any of your knowledge points. So those knowledge points are the biggest money makers in the expansion right now, and you can literally make tons of gold through speccing into the right knowledge point systems that you want, the right tree. So you're probably wondering, well, what is the right trees and how are you going to do it? Well, a lot of this is all opinion based and depending on what it is you're wanting to do in the game. So I'm going to go over my plans for profession swapping and how I plan on executing it so I can do so. I've already got a specialization for my mining and herbalism on YouTube, so if you haven't seen those yet, please go check those out. They are my opinion on what you should be speccing into for those professions, although they are not 100% guaranteed you need to spec into them. It's all opinion based, but let's get into the professions I plan on swapping to. So I plan on having all three gathering professions, technically four. I consider tailoring a gathering profession, even though a lot of people don't agree with me. And the reason why I consider it a gathering profession is because you can spec into something that allows you to gather more of the cloth and even different types of cloth. So I'm going to be running with all four quote unquote gathering professions, but um, we are going to basically do that along with enchanting. So the reason why I'm choosing those instead of any other types of professions, which I probably could do jewel crafting if I really wanted to, or even inscription if I wanted to, because there's easy gold made with those, but I really don't want to because that's just more that I have to worry about. And right now I just want to focus on a few to see if it's even going to be worth it. So let's take a look at tailoring really quick. I went with the Azure Weave because it was a higher profit rate than the chronic cloth tailoring at the moment. I don't know if it still is, but I am primarily focused on the cloth collection. Once I get that all maxed out, I don't know what I'm going to go with at the moment. I still have to kind of look through and decide which ones I want to do. I'll probably go through the textiles and do spinning, but I already have a tailor that is focused on spinning, so I'm not sure I'm going to worry too much about the spinning on this one just yet. I might, because I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's still up in the air for what I'm going to do. I have quite a few of the tailoring knowledge points coming in here pretty soon, as I have done some quests and stuff like that. And then we got my enchanting, which I have gone in sight of the blue. And of course, I went with this one, which allows me to locate mystic items. Mystic items are really important because not only do they have a decent chance of dropping, but they are basically like a piece of gear that you disenchant. It's like saying, here's an extra green item you can disenchant. You can't do anything else with it but disenchant it, but you can still use it for resources. So how I plan on going about this is I plan on swapping every other day or something to focus on getting the knowledge points I need. Once I cap out the knowledge points, which I don't know how to tell if I've capped out on my knowledge points for tailoring or enchanting just yet. I don't know if there's even a cap for them, but I know there's a cap for your mining, skinning, and herbalism. Now, this cap isn't like a strict cap. You can still gather some knowledge points, but it takes some time. But I plan on switching at least every other day, maybe every day, to get the cap I need for knowledge points. And then once I reach that cap, I'm going to swap into another profession, reach that cap, swap into another profession, reach that cap, and continue doing that until I capped out all the professions I plan on swapping. Okay, so from there, you're probably wondering how I'm going to focus on which professions it is I want to actually worry about. Like, there's no possible way you can worry about 5 different professions when you're switching them literally every week, or maybe even every day, depending on how fast you can get stuff capped. Well, I'm going to see which professions are the most profitable, and I am going to focus on those, which mining and herbalism are pretty profitable right now, but I got bored doing them, so that's why I'm doing the profession swapping. I'm also going to use a lot of my own materials, which I know this is kind of... Just bear with me here. I know this is weird. I'm going to use my own materials for my professions. I don't have any professions I went with that can use the materials I'll be farming on my main character. So none of my characters are going to be using ore, herbs, or even leather. I didn't pick a single profession that uses any of those, and I did that on purpose because, one, tailoring and enchanting can make a ton of gold as is. Those two combined are massive gold makers. That's if you use them properly and all of that. So if you want a guide on how to use tailoring and enchanting to make a lot of gold, let me know, and I'll try my best to come up with an explanation. I have done some shuffles explaining how I do it, but it's a bit out of date, and it's been a while since I've explained it. Anyways, so after all of that, you are still probably wondering why I'm profession swapping. Well, the biggest reason is because I see the gold potential in it. I really do. A lot of people may not, but I do, and I could be ahead of the game instead of behind it. Should you profession swap though, that is completely up to you. It will be a headache and a half, I will admit. It already is because it's Monday and I just decided to do this like 2 days ago. So I'm scrambling trying to get all the knowledge points I can for tailoring and enchanting, and I still have skinning yet to do, which I haven't even been working on my skinning, which I needed to, but so it's going to be a headache and a half. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a mess. But it could be worth it. It's going to be very worth it, in my opinion, in the long run. The reason why is because, say something new hits and there's new recipes or something that requires the Azure Weave Bolt. So I'm going to be crafting these, and those are actually kind of cheap, but I'm going to be crafting these, and something new pops up. I don't have tailoring, but I have a stash of my Azure bolts somewhere. I don't know where I'm stashing them yet, but I'll stash them somewhere. And I'm ahead of the game. I have a tailor that's already spec'd out to what I need it to be spec'd out in, and I can go farm cloth whenever I need cloth for my other tailor that I'm focusing spinning on. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm doing is I'm building a capital on professions. Like, what is the best way I can farm stuff at any given time. So that's when tailoring and enchanting come in. This is where tailoring and enchanting are very important, and you may be wondering why I still focused on those professions instead of going with like jewel crafting or inscription or anything like that when I could be using my herbs or leather for any other profession but the two I chose. So, there are two types of farming that I focus on. One type is you go around and gather, so that's skinning, herbalism, or mining. Or you can force respawn farm, which focuses on cloth and greens or enchantment materials. So basically what I'm doing is I'm covering base for everything I could farm imaginably, right? So I've got all of the bases covered. I've got all of the raw materials that can be farmed like in my hands basically. And that's through focusing on the knowledge points and all of that. So I hope this helps everyone. I really do. Um, I'm not going over this so a lot of people start doing it by all means. I'm just going over this to explain my thought process behind the profession swapping and why I think it is very profitable this expansion. But that'll be all for now. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.